$4.99 rotisserie chicken.
Chicken that Costco's rotisserie chicken.
Popular rotisserie chicken.
Costco rotisserie chickens may be affordable.
In 2024, Costco sold over 157 million rotisserie chickens, every single one of them priced at $4.99. The same price they've charged since 2009. And here's the part that doesn't make sense. That chicken actually costs Costco somewhere around $6 to $7 to produce. Which means every time someone walks out with one of those golden birds in a bag, Costco loses money. Not a little bit of money either. Their own CFO admitted the company was willing to give up $30 to $40 million a year just to keep that price locked in. Some analysts think the real number today is closer to $380 million. So why would the third largest retailer on the planet deliberately lose hundreds of millions of dollars on a single product? Because that chicken might be the most brilliant business weapon in the history of American retail. And the story of how Costco protects that $4.99 price tag involves a billion-dollar factory, controversial farming practices, and a company philosophy so extreme that the founder once threatened to kill his own CEO over a hot dog. Let's get into it. To understand the rotisserie chicken, you first have to understand how Costco actually makes money, because it's not how you think. Costco's total revenue in 2024 was about $250 billion. But here's the thing most people miss. The company's merchandise profit margins are razor thin. Somewhere around 3%, that's almost nothing in retail. Walmart operates at about double that. Traditional grocery stores run even higher. So where does the actual profit come from? Memberships. Costco collected $4.8 billion in membership fees in 2024. And because there's basically no cost associated with selling a membership, that revenue flows almost directly to the bottom line. Membership fees alone accounted for more than half of Costco's total operating income. Think about that. A company that sells $250 billion worth of stuff makes most of its real profit from the $65 annual fee you pay just to walk through the door. That changes everything about how the business operates. Costco doesn't need to make money on the chicken. It doesn't need to make money on most of what it sells. It just needs you to keep renewing your membership. And the rotisserie chicken is how they make sure you do. This is what retailers call a loss leader, a product sold at a loss specifically to get customers through the door. But Costco has turned the concept into an art form. Walk into any Costco and try to find the rotisserie chicken. You can't grab it near the entrance. It's always in the back, every single time. And that's not an accident. To get to those chickens, you have to walk past the electronics, past the clothing, past the seasonal items, past a dozen things you had no idea you needed until you saw them stacked on a pallet for a price that seemed too good to pass up. The average Costco shopper spends over $100 per visit. Most of them came in planning to grab a chicken and maybe a few essentials. But by the time they've made the trek to the back of that warehouse and back to the registers, the cart is full. A $5 chicken run turns into a $200 shopping trip. Multiply that by 157 million chickens a year, and suddenly that $30 or $40 million loss looks like the best marketing investment in retail. But keeping that price at $4.99 was getting harder and harder. And in 2019, Costco made a move that nobody in the retail world saw coming. The American poultry industry is dominated by a handful of massive producers. Companies like Tyson, Pilgrim's Pride, and Perdue control over 60% of the entire market. For years, Costco bought its chickens from these suppliers, but as demand grew and Costco refused to raise prices, the math started breaking. The suppliers had no reason to give Costco a deal. They could sell their birds to anyone else for more money, so Costco decided to cut out the middleman entirely. They spent $450 million building their own chicken processing facility in Fremont, Nebraska. Not a small operation either. This plant processes around 2 million chickens every single week. That's roughly 100 million birds a year, enough to supply about 40% of all the rotisserie chickens Costco sells. They didn't just build a factory, they built an entire supply chain from scratch. Costco partnered with local farmers across Nebraska and Iowa to raise the birds. They set up their own hatcheries, their own feed mills, their own processing lines. From the egg to the plastic bag on the shelf, Costco controls the whole thing. The estimated savings? About 35 cents per chicken. That might not sound like much, but across tens of millions of birds, it adds up to real money. However, building your own chicken empire comes with consequences that Costco probably didn't put in the press release. In 2021, the animal rights organization Mercy for Animals sent undercover investigators into farms supplying Costco's Nebraska plant. What they documented set off a firestorm: overcrowded barns, chickens bred to grow so large so quickly that their legs couldn't support their own weight, birds with ammonia burns, open wounds, and broken bones, piles of dead chickens outside the barns. The footage went viral. Costco's own fan page on Facebook, which had been a community of rotisserie chicken enthusiasts, was converted into a campaign against the company's farming practices. Shareholders filed lawsuits alleging that Costco had violated animal welfare laws in both Nebraska and Iowa. Costco responded by saying they were committed to the highest standards of animal welfare and that they'd use the investigation findings to make improvements. But critics pointed out that the conditions shown in the video weren't anomalies. They were standard practice in industrial chicken farming. The birds are bred specifically to grow enormous breasts in just 42 days, because bigger chickens mean more meat per dollar. The animal welfare groups argued that Costco was making a deliberate choice to prioritize that $4.99 price tag over the well-being of the animals. And the controversy didn't stop there. A 2024 analysis of USDA inspection data found that Costco's Nebraska plant had a remarkably high rate of salmonella contamination, even compared to similarly sized operations. A second class action lawsuit was filed in early 2026, alleging that Costco had been marketing the chickens as preservative-free when they actually contain sodium phosphate and carrageenan, additives that plaintiffs argue function as preservatives. Costco has since quietly removed the no preservatives language from its signage. There's also the question of what this means for the farmers. Costco recruited people across Nebraska and Iowa to build chicken barns, often people with no prior experience in poultry farming. A typical 4-barn setup costs between $2 and $2.5 million. These farmers take on massive debt, but Costco controls every aspect of the operation, from the breed of chicken to the feed to the processing schedule. Some critics, including the president of the Nebraska Farmers Union, warned that farmers were being set up to become completely dependent on a single buyer who dictates every term. So here's the picture. On one side, you've got a 4.99 chicken that 157 million people buy every year. A product so popular and so cheap that it single-handedly drives billions in additional spending. A product that a $250 billion company considers so important to its identity that it spent $1 billion building its own poultry operation just to protect the price. On the other side, you've got animal welfare lawsuits, salmonella concerns, mislabeling allegations, and farmers locked into contracts where they've invested millions but have almost no bargaining power. And the rotisserie chicken isn't even Costco's only sacred product. The company's $1.50 hot dog and soda combo hasn't changed in price since 1985. When CEO Craig Jelinek once told founder Jim Sinegal that they were losing money on the hot dogs and needed to raise the price, Sinegal's response became legendary. He told Jelinek that if he raised the price, he'd kill him. Then he added 2 words that sum up Costco's entire philosophy: figure it out. And that's exactly what they did. Instead of raising the price, Costco built their own hot dog manufacturing plants. They replaced their supplier and started making Kirkland's signature hot dogs in-house. The price stayed at $1.50. Today, Costco sells nearly 200 million hot dogs a year from its food courts. It's the same playbook, over and over. Find the product that gets people through the door, keep the price absurdly low. And when the economics stop working, don't raise the price, rebuild the entire supply chain instead. The membership renewal rate tells you whether the strategy is working. In the US and Canada, Costco's renewal rate sits above 92%. That means almost nobody who joins Costco decides to leave. And with the company now serving nearly 137 million cardholders worldwide, those $65 membership fees represent a moat that almost no competitor can cross. The rotisserie chicken costs Costco money every single day. But it makes them something worth far more than profit on a single product. It makes them trusted. And in retail, trust is the most expensive thing you can buy. Whether the cost of that trust, from the farms in Nebraska to the courtrooms in California, is worth the price. That's the question Costco is still answering. I'm curious what you think. Is the $4.99 chicken a win for consumers? Or is the real cost just hidden where most people don't bother to look? Let me know in the comments. If you found this interesting, the video on screen right now goes even deeper into how companies use loss leaders to manipulate the way you shop. Click it.